Thomas, Rick Tyler, who is a former spokesperson for Ted Cruz. Gang, good to have you with me, and sorry for the little confusion there, because I wanted to get the executive order on and also President Trump's Twitter feed. Because, Rick, let me start with you. This is a real contrast. We're being told one thing via Twitter, another thing through an official statement. We're seeing the ripple effects play out in real time, but through the dust and the chaos, we're supposed to believe what this ban really is.
Well, that seems to be the problem here, Thomas. There seems to be a lack of coordinated communication, not only with the White House to the public and through the media and through the Twitter, but also through the different agencies, and it's causing a lot of confusion. But in the end, you look, I see a lot of statements that people are pretty ignorant about the customs process. People are detained or questioned or subject to further questioning all the time. And ultimately, you had about 100 travelers out of hundreds of thousands of travelers who have been detained. Now, I don't really agree with the way this policy is executed, but America does have a right to single out countries where terrorism is a threat. And I'll note, Thomas, that these 7 countries, not one of them you're allowed to celebrate Christmas or Easter publicly. And it's wonderful that these people are protesting, but I never hear them protest about that, about women's rights and about Christian rights in these countries that Donald Trump has said he's put a ban on travel on.
Well, but we're America, Rick, and I want to say that we're supposed to be the the home of the brave, the land of the free. We'll take your tired, your poor, huddled masses. This is a contrast. The Obama administration has done this before, and yeah, I said that I need to call BS here. I'll apologize for that, but it's confusing when we look at the White House official statement and the Twitter timeline and say that this is not about a religion or specific countries where religion and what the president would call radical Islamic terrorism. Laura, from your perspective, with President Trump issuing this statement and also the confusion that we've seen in the courts, how do you think that this is going to play out moving forward?
Well, all Democrats in Congress are uniformly against it, and not only coming out so hard against it, but showing up at airports, trying to help the immigrants out. They're having confrontations with Border Patrol agents, and I'm hearing they're going to join in on an amicus brief to try to push the courts to overturn this Muslim ban, which already seems to be happening in several federal courts. And even Republicans, they've been a little bit more hesitant to criticize this immigration order, but we're starting to see criticisms trickle out from the right as well. John McCain, Rob Portman came out this morning and said it wasn't properly vetted. Actually, there's been about a dozen Republicans in Congress who are slowly coming out and saying, actually, he should have consulted with us on this, and it's not constitutional.
So, all right, let me ask you, as a former senior spokesperson for the 2008 Obama campaign, President Obama did go through this in 2011, and President Trump talks about that in his executive order, the fact that they suspended refugee immigration from Iraq, and this was based on an FBI investigation. Do you think that that's the big difference here, that we don't have a true catalyst to understand, other than a campaign promise, where this travel ban is coming from?
I think President Obama's order was very narrow, and it stopped the refugee application process and didn't stop the actual immigration, including the detention of green card holders, for example. But I agree with Rick that this is about ignorance. This ban is not just unjust and unwise, it's un-American. Ronald Reagan said that we're a shining city on a hill, and I think Rick would agree with that, but that is no longer the case with this kind of order. But I'd also say this isn't just immoral. This is not just wrong. This is dumb. This is making us weaker. As Senator McCain said today, this is emboldening terrorists. It's making it harder for us to work with our Muslim allies around the world. And it's causing ISIS and Al-Qaeda, is giving them propaganda material to go out and recruit more terrorists, not reduce terrorism.
Rick, do you agree with that? Do you think that this is a propaganda tool to ISIS and the alike?
Well, sure. I mean, ISIS is terrific at propaganda. They have 40 separate media companies that are producing propaganda material all the time. But I don't know that what we do, they can use things that we do and lie about what we do in propaganda. That's what propaganda is. But remember, look, it's really inaccurate to call it a Muslim ban. These are all Muslim countries, that's correct, but there are other 40 Muslim countries that there is no ban. And so it's really incorrect to say it's a Muslim ban. It's a ban. Look, I don't like the way this is implemented. I think it could have been done a much different way and certainly communicated a lot better. And I agree with you, Thomas. It has to do with religion if you're going to mention Christians and Islamic, radical Islamic extremism. We have to deal with those things head on. We can't just bury our heads in the sand. We have to acknowledge that there is a problem here. Now, Donald Trump has said that he wants to defeat Islamic radical terrorism. I'd like to see the plan to defeat this, but people who have been issued visas, I assume the government has already vetted those people. I'm sure I'll get an argument about that. But I think it is wrong for the government to issue visas and green cards and then detain those people and put them through more of a process. But I do think America does have a right to protect itself from terrorism.
But Laura, when it comes to, when we look at these countries, Saudi Arabia, not on this list. People remember most of the hijackers and attackers for 9/11 came from that country, and I'm just hearing from our Ari Melber that the countries involved here, they're not designated as a source of immigrant-related terrorism, which would be the true metric for immigration and border concerns.
Right. It actually doesn't make any sense. The seven countries that he chose, kind of at random, it seems. And to say that this is not a Muslim ban after, during the whole campaign, he called specifically for a Muslim ban, and suddenly this is him making good on a campaign promise. And though it doesn't go so far as to ban every Muslim in the world from entering this country, it's no less a Muslim ban. So I don't really understand the argument there.
And right now, again, this is just for our viewers at home, this is a suspension for travel 90 days from these specific countries. Refugee admission is suspended for 120 days. Green card holders are going to be examined on a case-by-case basis for a secondary screening once they get here to the U.S. Hari, Laura, Rick, sorry for our abbreviated time together. We've been jumping from protest to protest, but I appreciate your insights and for being
Thomas.
here. All right, good to see you all. So here's a live look in New York City as more people have assembled to protest what this immigration ban means. And people are on different sides of whether or not this really makes us safer. We have more reactions, specifically from the Muslim community next.